What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Wayne G. Hopefully you heard the intro music. I know that we were having some technical difficulties on our end, and you couldn't really hear it. I am joined only by Jesse today. Sully could not make it.
I told you we were going to get rid of him soon. You know, all those awful remarks he's making about the Patriots. We were getting rid of him.
I was trying to think of something really embarrassing to say, like he couldn't make it because he was doing, some sort of a porn shoot or something, but he'd like that, so... all right, so anyways, the music we tried to get going, it didn't play last week, and I just played it now, and hopefully you guys can hear it on your end. I know Jesse couldn't hear it. I can hear it in my headphones, so hopefully you guys will hear everything. I have some sound to play today, and so if Jesse can't hear it, it's going to be very disappointing because it's good sound. So we'll go from there. If not, that's fine.
Yeah, it'll be a little tough. We understand, you guys' patience, and we appreciate it. So thank you guys for continuing to listen.
All right. Now, again, we are live on the Facebook page. We're kind of like frazzled because we're all just rushing to get this done, and we didn't have our third host in. But we are on the Facebook page, RTF Sports page, the Infinity Sports page. You can watch this every Monday, every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also watch us or listen to us on the RTFSportsNetwork.com, 1 o'clock Tuesdays and Thursdays. So definitely do that as well. Now, if you miss any part of the show or you can't hear the music, hopefully you'll hear the music, although I know you couldn't last time on the download. But you can download the episode at iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. I got to change those dates. I haven't changed those yet. I have to make a mental note to change the times in the RTF. But that's where you can find us in terms of downloading the podcast. And, of course, you can reach out to us on social media. So, Jesse, why don't you run through the social media options with the fans?
Most definitely. All right, everybody. We are on Facebook at Infinity Sports Podcast. We thank you, Wayne, for making it through all the trials and tribulations of that name change. Then we are over on Instagram. We post pictures multiple times a day. We're looking for comments there as well. We are at Infinity Sports Podcast. And with a slight curveball on Twitter because it was a bit of a struggle getting the handle that we originally wanted, we are at Sports Infinity 5, and that is a play on the last segment of the show, our favorite segment and your favorite segment.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It is my favorite segment. I think most people enjoy that because it's kind of a personal touch. You get to know a little bit about us. It's not sports related.
It's the most interactive. I think we all have differing opinions every time. I think very rarely throughout these have we had the same list or a couple of the same people. So it's awesome, and it's definitely our favorite segment. Strikeout Beer, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys get to hear the intro music. If not, like I said, it's going to be surprising when I play. I have a video, actually, I'm going to play later, and hopefully there's some noise with it. Otherwise, it's going to be... You're going to have to guess what they're saying. Going back to our brand here. So we've got my notes here. I'm going to be looking at my notes frequently because, again, very unprepared today. Obviously, you're free to interact with us. So Strikeout Bear, put a comment in. We will react with you guys. There is about a 30-second delay, so if you do say something, don't be surprised if it doesn't get brought up right away, or if you're reacting to something, and then we kind of move on a little bit, because there is like that 30-second delay from the time we're speaking to the time we see the post.
So, Wayne, what are we going to be talking about today? I know one portion of the show we're certainly going to be talking about the news. That's something we always touch. But another exciting segment, something I brought up, was Hall of Fame or not.
That is a great segment. And obviously, I did not write down the names. Hopefully you have the names there. Otherwise, I just pull.
I absolutely have all the names that you gave us.
All right, perfect. So we'll go over that. And I'm actually going to show here the other bit of news before we talk about news is I do have an advertisement for the show. Ronnie Fields is going to be joining the show next Monday at 7 p.m. Obviously, when we do our show, hopefully all of our sound's working. He's going to join the show. It's really, really, really big get for us. So if you're a basketball fan, basically, you've probably heard of Earl Manigault, the GOAT, from New York City, Rucker Park. He's a legend in Rucker Park.
Wayne, throw that picture back up.
So the picture back up here. Boom.
Who is in that picture with Ronnie Fields?
That's Kevin Garnett. That was his teammate at Farragut Academy for 1 year. They won the state championship, I believe, or I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to ask him. But him and KG were teammates. And actually, Ronnie Fields was the number 2 high school player in the country in 1996 behind Kobe Bryant.
Wow. So being on a team with KG, a guy that is in the incoming NBA Hall of Fame class, and Wayne has him coming on the show, Infinity Sports, on my birthday.
Oh, nice. Well, it'll be a nice happy birthday for you.
Great.
I wrote a blog about Ronnie called Into the Shadows. It's on rtfsportsnetwork.com. If you go to the blog section, it's one of the first ones I did. And it really gives you a great rundown of his high school career, his post-high school career, and what he's up to now, which is really coaching youth basketball, doing basketball camps. And I've been in touch with him the past couple of weeks, and that's kind of what he's been doing. And so when I'm trying to nail down a time, he's like, I have camp that day or whatever. But it's really, really great what he's doing with the youth there in Chicago.
Absolutely. We know the Chicago hoop scene has always been huge. So for us to be able to get a guy like this is amazing. And I remember back when you told Sully and I that you were going to be writing your blog about Ronnie Fields. And I was so sarcastic and snarky, and I was like, sick. I had no idea who it was. And then you said, I encourage you to look him up. It's a great story. And so I did. I looked him up, and then I actually read your blog, and I was just in love with this guy's story. You know, so tough to see all the things he went through, to see the stardom he could have had. But for him to still be continuing in the game of basketball and dealing with youth, it's amazing that he's still in it. So really, really awesome that we're bringing this to you guys next Monday, guys. Come and see Ronnie Fields talk to you guys from Infinity Sports.
All right, now Strikeout Beer is saying that my mic might not be coming through. Now you can hear me over there, so I'll actually just have to play with it during our news segment here. I'm gonna unplug and plug it back in. So have fun staring at the news graphic, everybody, while I play some music, which hopefully comes through, and enjoy.
Figure it out.
All right, so that was the news. You can hear me now, right?
Strikeout, I can still hear you, Wayne, but Strikeout Beer, if you can do us a solid and just let us know if you can hear Wayne. We're going to let Wayne start with the news, and if you let us know that you cannot hear him, then I'm going to jump in.
All right, cool. So hopefully you guys let us know. Obviously, Strikeout Beer again. Nice grab with Ronnie Fields. So we'll definitely be looking forward to that interview. Now, for the news, I know normally we do This Day in History. I have that as well. But the first news I want to go, and I really hope this sound plays. I really do, because it's on my board. So if you didn't hear the first two sounds, you may not hear this one. So just let me know if you hear it. This is Brandon yesterday on his show, Triple Shot Sports. Brandon basically, I chimed in because I like to watch their show, and I chimed in with one of my comments like we just posted there. And I said, I love tuning in to watch the minor leaguers. And then Brandon replied with this, so let me know if you can hear it. So he basically says, you know, if whenever you have Jesse Bissonette on your show, you can't call other shows minor leaguers. So he said, "Come at me, Jesse."
So I'm going to go ahead and tighten up these gloves right here. Coombs, I cannot believe that you have the gall. You have the balls over there in Chicago to come at me. Let me tell you, you got your chance on podcasting on our show. On our show, my man, on Infinity Sports. We gave you one opportunity. You fell on your face. I don't know why. I think Wayne felt guilty. We gave you a second opportunity for you to fall right back on your face. We had Brandon Coombs on about 3 months ago. We had Brandon Coombs on because he was doing a really neat segment, I thought, about MLB baseball players and the numbers that they wore and who wore the number or who was the best player for that specific number. And it was all decent. You know, Coombs seemed to be getting some clickbait in some places. And let me tell you where he got the most clickbait and where he spent the most amount of time on our show going over. That is MLB jersey number 5. Strikeout Beer, Dylan Moran, Buck. I know all you guys are baseball fans. You all know some big number 5s. This schmuck Coombs went with Nomar Garcia Parra as your number 5. Are you kidding me? Over Joe DiMaggio? Over Albert Pujols? Over Johnny Bench? No. This guy calls himself an MLB expert, and that's what he gave us? Yuck. So then again, like I mentioned, Wayne must have felt bad because we pulled this guy back on again, and we gave him a silver platter. We said, you know what? Coombs, come on here and talk to us about your NFL division. Talk to us about the NFC North, my man. And you know what he did? He was horrible. He came in and said that the NFL NFC North division MVP is going to be Nick Foles. He might as well have just been wearing a Homer Simpson t-shirt. We brought up Wayne, myself, and Sully all had Aaron Rodgers as our MVP for that division. It was unanimous. It was a no-brainer. And he laughed and said, I just think he's going to have another one of those shitty Aaron Rodgers years. We all questioned him and asked him to point out which year was the Aaron Rodgers shitty year, because there isn't one. I've got right here that he actually holds the NFL record, Aaron Rodgers does, for the most consecutive passes without an interception. That's 402 consecutive passes without an interception. He holds the record for the best touchdown to interception ratio at 4.33 to 1. Shitty Aaron Rodgers, Coombs? Watch the tape, my man. And I got one more for you. In the last 10 years, there's only been one quarterback that rivals Aaron Rodgers, and that's Tom Brady, as far as the NFL all-decade team. So don't tell me that he's garbage. So both these bad takes, and you know how he comes back from these two bad takes? He gets his own podcast? He gets 3 episodes a week? How'd you do that? How'd you do that, Coombs? Never mind, I know how you did it. I see your wedding invite right here. You and Buck getting married, my man. That's a joke. We're the minor leagues. Boo!
So obviously Brandon chimes in and says, nice comeback, might as well have just said, I know you are, but what am I?
Please get your child off the keyboard. Type for yourself. Minor leagues. You got your chance on our show, my man.
Now we are getting some mixed feedback, because I see obviously Strikeout Beer has said no sound, and then we've got, again, Brandon watching says, I hear you fine. So, again, a mixed bag. Obviously, I know Strikeout Beer saying, it looks like your board isn't working. I'm having that issue. Jesse can't hear anything I play on the board sound-wise. Now, the video I have saved on here, at least it's saved on the computer. It's not coming from the board, so you should be able to hear everything just fine there. Let's go to, I know we talked about the news. I always do this day in history, and I got some stuff written down here. So let's start off with August 4th, 1909. Now, this one's great for me. An umpire, Tim Hurst, spits in the face of A's second baseman Eddie Collins for arguing a call. And then later that umpire is suspended for life. Now, I don't feel it's that big of a stretch from what umpires do now. Like, they think the game's all about them. They toss guys for just looking at them funny. And I'd love to see a lot of Major League umpires get tossed for life.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, there's that one instance where the Tigers pitcher actually had the perfect game nullified because of a horrible call by that umpire. So there's never a great reason to have an umpire. They seem to be out there for themselves. So get them out of here. And back in the day, Eddie Collins is known as one of the best second basemen of all time. So to spit in that guy's face, I mean, even today, if anybody spits in my face, I'm coming at him. So I can't believe an umpire had, the gall to do that to an amazing player.
Well, and it went way back then. So that means this whole umpire, whole testosterone raging thing that's been going on, it's been going on for 100+ years. And when I say umpires, I understand guys have to call outs at the base, and they do their best. They have instant replay just to overturn mistakes. But what kills me is when a guy throws a ball, it's literally 2 feet outside, everybody can see it, it gets called for a strike, and all he does is he turns his head, looks at the umpire, and he's out of the game. You're out of here for just doing that. Come on, man. I mean, you got to be able to take it a little bit.
Yeah, the umpire's favorite band is Tom Petty because of how petty they are. It's very hard to watch games when they're getting themselves involved.
Now, I got more. Again, there is that delay, and like I said before we started the news, I just want to kind of throw up some of Brandon's comments here. We got, did Wayne write that for you? Your comeback, I guess. Followed by, we got, I never said he was garbage. And then
Aaron Rodgers is going to have another one of those shitty years. Yeah, man, you keep splitting hairs over there. You don't have many hairs to split.
And I got my shot on Wayne's show. So he did come on the show, and he definitely, like you said, put up a fight on the whole...
On Wayne's show? No, Recasted was Wayne and I. Infinity Sports is Wayne, myself, and Sully. That's a two-person show.
It's funny how I didn't even read that as a shot at you, but now I get it. Oh, man.
He's grasping for straws right here. Grasping for straws.
All right, continuing with the news here. August 4th, 1910, the Oakland A's and the Chicago White Sox play to a 0-0 tie after 16 innings. Now, you heard that correctly. A 0-0 tie. So that is the video that I have loaded up here. If you are a baseball fan, you must have seen this video. Hopefully, Jesse, you can hear this and you can react, because this is exactly what I thought of when I read this particular day in history.
Wow.
Sorry, kid. We'll get him next inning.
There ain't going to be a next inning.
What are you talking about? It's 4-4.
No game can continue after 15 innings.
So when do we make it up?
No, I'm sorry, baby. It's over.
It's 4-4. A ball game can't end in a goddamn tie.
Come on, man. It's over. Let's go.
I just love that face he makes at the end. Game can't end in a goddamn tie.
I absolutely heard all that, Wayne. It was beautiful to see because there's no way that I would enjoy watching a game end in a tie. That doesn't mean that I enjoy these MLB rules for this year where they're starting people on second base or without. I think that's a bit of a joke and a stretch. But, yeah, you don't want to see any sport end in a tie. Overtimes are some of the most exciting parts of any game in history. I mean, I think back to Syracuse and UConn playing, I think it was 5 or 6 overtimes. So overtimes are exciting and you need them. You need a winner, though. You can't end anything in a tie.
Yeah, I mean, I was going through, and again, I didn't really have a chance to look up when they maybe passed a rule that games can't end in a tie unless it's a rain out or something that gets made up. But I was just writing it down. I thought, that's crazy. So like I said, when I saw game ends in a tie after 16 innings, I said, I got to find that Mr. Baseball clip because it's hilarious.
Very fitting.
August 4th, 1984, Carl Lewis wins the 100 meters in 9.9 seconds. So it's his first gold medal. He wins 4 throughout his career, I think. And what is funny about this is when I saw the 9.9, again, another movie reference. We're going to get a lot of those today, probably. I don't have the video for it, but I love the movie Cool Runnings. I'm sure you do as well. It's a Disney movie about the Jamaican bobsled team. But there's a scene where Leon's character, Derice Banning, is trying to talk to the coach, John Candy. And he's like, this is why you should coach the bobsled team. And the guy's like, well, your father ran the 100 meters in 10 seconds flat. He goes, well, I run it in 9.9. And I thought, perfect, so did Carl Lewis.
9.9. You mentioned that, and I'm just thinking, man, I wonder who broke that. I don't know who broke it, but I know Usain ended up getting 9.58 because we mentioned that in our 30 for 30 hopefuls was the fact that Usain Bolt ended up breaking that record, and then that's what I wanted the title of that 30 for 30 to be. So Carl Lewis and then a faster man in Usain Bolt.
Yeah, 9.58's nuts. That's nuts.
It's insane.
Now, August 4th, 1993, Tony Gwynn gets 6 hits in an 11-10 win. It's the 4th time that season that he gets a 5-hit or more game, which is a record. So, I mean, how good was Tony Gwynn?
He was insanely good. I mean, I love to see these statistics that come up on Facebook every once in a while. They talk about how amazing some pitchers are, and then they show, yet Tony Gwynn did this against them. Guys like Greg Maddux and some of the great pitchers of his era, and he still just made them look silly with just how amazing his hand-eye coordination was. I mean, it's too bad that, rest in peace, he went with the cancer, but he did make a final stand there for the dip. So an amazing hitter, an amazing player, and an amazing person.
Now, I have here August 4th, 2007. 32-year-old Alex Rodriguez becomes the youngest player to hit 500 home runs. Now, we have this conversation all the time. I know it's very big on Brandon's show, and it was on the Great Debate as a bonus section, which is steroid players in the Hall of Fame. I think Alex Rodriguez should be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest players of all time.
Absolutely. I think the positional versatility, the fact that he was great offensively and defensively, he certainly should be. He was amazing in Texas, in Seattle, in New York. Any team he went to, he made a huge impact. I can't say that I didn't want him on the Red Sox back in the day. There were rumors about the Sox trading Manny Ramirez in a package to get A-Rod, and I was on board then. There are so many players that could have, should have, or would have been on my team or did not use steroids. So this is one of those guys that unquestionably should be in the Hall.
Well, you mentioned trading Manny Ramirez for Alex Rodriguez. Obviously, both of them are right-handed hitters. I've made the argument before that Manny Ramirez is the best right-handed hitter in history. Like, I think he's just he's the right-handed Barry Bonds, basically.
I agree. I think that on FBAS, where I do a lot of my discussions, and on other platforms, you're going to see that that's the majority. Ruling there is that there's no greater right-handed hitter than Manny Ramirez. This guy could mash the ball. Bit of a head case, especially towards the end of his career, but nobody could hit that ball like him as a righty. So he's an amazing guy.
Now, going to August 5th, 1940, Browns pitcher John Whitehead pitches a no-hitter, but it's a 6-inning game because of a rainout. And I'm thinking, I feel like it has to be 9 innings to be a no-hitter. Like, you can say you got the win, and I'm cool with that, but don't say you threw a no-hitter if you only pitched 6 innings.
I agree. That's a cop-out for sure.
August 5th, 1992, Cuba wins the gold medal in the Olympics for baseball. And I tried to look on the roster to see, all right, how many major league players were in Cuba at that time. Only one. I don't know if you remember this guy, Orlando Hernandez, a.k.a. El Duque, pitched for the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've definitely remember him.
Yeah, so he had defected. I mean, obviously his brother had already defected at that point, was pitching for the Marlins. His brother, Liban Hernandez, won a World Series with the Marlins. They both defected from Cuba, but El Duque came afterwards.
Yeah, I remember those two. There's been a influx of Cuban athletes since then. I know the World Baseball Classic has also given them a bit of a highlight back in the baseball scene. But we know that Cuba and those other Latin American countries produce some of the best baseball players we've seen.
Now, we don't do a political show. We don't talk about a whole lot of political stuff. But just because of Cuba got brought up, obviously we have the trade embargo with Cuba because of the Bay of Pigs / whatever, the missiles being aimed at the United States at the time during the Cold War. And I feel like we're so far past that now. I mean, shouldn't we? I mean, Cuba used to be a big vacation destination like Bermuda or Hawaii. People go to Cuba. Now it's just this desolate, I know it's run by a dictator, but still, I mean, couldn't we open up a little bit to Cuba and stop with the whole trade embargo? I mean, Jesus, it was 50 years ago.
Yeah, you would hope that at some point both sides have calm, cool, collect enough leaders that we can make that work. I mean, not just for the vacation aspect, but there's things that, we could use from them and they could use from us. So hopefully we can make it a prosperous relationship there in the future.
No, I'm not sure what this one is. So Brandon has here, I would hate these rules in 162, but for this season I'm fine with whatever the MLB wants to do. Oh, he must mean the overtime, the guy in second.
Starting a man on second, those types of things. I don't love those edits. I remember when we were first introducing them, Sully wasn't a fan either. I think that, it kind of goes right in line with we don't want to end in a tie. We don't want to end in a shitty way. And I think when you are forcing a player on a base or starting an inning with so many outs, it's not true to the game of baseball. And so I think for a majority of fans, it's not something that we want to see. Maybe for a truncated season, we're okay in dealing with that. But for the most part, I think for every sport, we'd like to see it played just the way that we grew up watching it.
Yeah, I had this argument on the Great Debate. We're talking about baseball purists, who I hate, and baseball,
the unwritten rules.
Yeah, not just the unwritten rules, but so many rules that are written even. Like, I'm all for innovation. So I'm okay with the guy on second to start extra innings, because it's not every inning, it's just extra innings. And both teams get a shot. It's not like only one team gets a shot and it's sudden death. It's like the bottom of the inning gets to go too, and they get a guy on second. So it is kind of an even playing field there, but it speeds things along. I'm in favor of a pitch clock. I liked the radical rule, which Brandon hated, but I liked the radical rule, which was, you could pinch hit a guy at any point in the game from another position in the lineup. So, for example, bottom of the ninth, you got 7, 8, 9 up. You could pinch hit Mike Trout from 3 down to 7. But you can only do it once a game. So it involves some strategy. You have to figure out when you want to use it and whatnot. But you could actually have him hit back-to-back. So he could actually hit, third, hit a home run, and then you switch him to fourth, and he essentially could be the first player to go back-to-back with himself.
Yeah, I think we've seen some super strategic managers, especially more recently, more in terms of the bullpen usage. I think when you get into the playoffs, using those pitchers to the best of your advantage, whether you bring in starting pitchers out of the bullpen, but we've seen more critical decision-making happening in baseball games. So hopefully we continue to see that happen, and they're going to have it happen with these little trinkets of things that are changing, the little tweaks that are happening from Manfred. At least while we still have baseball. With the recent COVID in St. Louis, we're seeing multiple games in the series be canceled so far, and it's already a 60-game season. So it's not looking fantastic for Manfred.
Now, so I just brought up the little logo, but it's right on top of your head. So I figured we could do that, or I also have the alternate screen here.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
It kind of still cuts off the infinity. Actually, we could then do this as well. Look at this. Boom. Now it's on your head.
Boom.
Perfect. Look at that. We're just like wizards over here. All right. So, wizards with a sound.
You're a wizard, Harry.
With a soundboard that doesn't work. All right. So, August 5th, 1999, Mark McGwire hits his 500th home run. Now, we're going to have a little section today, like you mentioned, where we talk about, does this guy belong in the Hall of Fame? Let's take steroids out of it. Mark McGwire had over 500 career home runs. He hit 70 for a season. Even if you said it's steroids related, all things equal across the board, would you put Mark McGwire in the Hall of Fame? He's only like a 260 hitter or something like that.
I would. I think when you surpass 500 and, like you mentioned, you have 70 in one single season, the exciting race that he had with Sammy Sosa, he definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. I've seen players with lesser averages get in, so this guy certainly belongs in the Hall of Fame. When you bring that much excitement to the game and you bring the sport of baseball itself that much money, you deserve your place in the Hall.
And the last one I have here, this is really just like a shame on the United States, shame on the country for this. August 5th, 2006, 14 years ago, Warren Moon becomes the first black quarterback in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it takes way too long for them to do the right thing, unfortunately. One of those reasons why you can throw your hand up and say, man, our country sucks.
So that now normally we would play fact or fiction today. That was kind of the goal, and I told my wife, I said, it's not as much fun to do fact or fiction with only one person. You got to have like a competition. I mean, as much fun as it would be just to have you guess fact or fiction, it's nice to have somebody going against you, So for that reason, I decided, well, instead of fact or fiction, I'll just write down some crazy statistics or some crazy facts, and we'll just talk about them. That could be fact or fiction, I guess. So this section, which would normally be fact or fiction, it's fact or fiction. One of the things I posted on Facebook the other day was a statistic about Barry Bonds. It said his OPS in 2004 was 1.422. It said basically if you were to play a full 162-game season, go 2 for 5 every single game with a single and a home run, your OPS would be less than Barry Bonds in 2004.
Yeah, it just sets him in a higher class. I think anybody that just looks at him as a guy that used juice, they're not truly looking at his hand-eye coordination, the amazing skills that this guy had. He was a great ball player in Pittsburgh, but, made the leap when he went to San Fran. And, I know that there have been so many statistics about this guy, but just, again, his hand-eye coordination, and I don't think there's anybody better that could see the ball, hit the ball than Barry Bonds.
Now, here's another crazy Barry Bonds stat. This is one that I actually messaged Brandon with yesterday or a couple days ago. So in 2004, Barry Bonds had 373 at-bats. He got on base 376 times. His walks don't count as at-bats. But he got on base 376 times. He had 373 official at-bats.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of times. I mean, I didn't really know what an intentional walk was until I started seeing Barry Bonds be walked around, pitched around so many times during his peak. When you see pitchers and catchers just throw their arm over here, and that's not even waste our time. Put him on the base. He obviously wasn't a huge steal threat at that point, but they'd rather put him on the base and give somebody else a chance than watch him mash another one to Covey Cove.
Now, what do you think about, again, talking about progressive rules, what do you think about the rule about an intentional walk? I'll just point to first and the batter can go down there. We don't have to throw any pitches.
I like it. Like you mentioned, speeding up the game. I don't like it when a pitcher has, 30 seconds or more in between each pitch. So in one of the, when both sides are going to agree to just speed the game along and put a guy on first, why are we going to waste the time to throw those pitches? I mean, maybe in one case a pitch gets away from him and a guy moves ahead. It's not a huge benefit to the fan or the team. So I think just move it along. Don't put any extra strain on any pitcher at all. And move it along and get right on to the next hitter.
Now, here's a statistic. If you took away every one of Hank Aaron's 755 home runs, so he had 0 for his career, he would still have over 3,000 hits.
That is insane.
I think people underrate Hank Aaron as a hitter. He was a really good hitter.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody puts him in that upper echelon, that top tier of home run hitters. Hank Aaron, the home run king. Up until Barry Bonds broke it, and some fans are certainly going to question which one is the king. But Hank Aaron, an amazing ball player outside of just what he could do mashing the ball. To have over 3,000 hits minus those home runs is just so impressive.
Now, Frank Robinson was another thing. He's the only player ever to win an MVP in both leagues.
Oh, yeah.
So
I've drafted him a couple times in some drafts, and you find that stat. If you want to see the MLB portrait of just the highest guy ever, it's Frank Robinson's Orioles picture. That guy is blitzed to the moon. I mean, he's higher than Giraffe Pussy. You got to check him out.
Now, I always get him confused with Brooks Robinson. That's probably sacrilege to true baseball fans. But
they're different colors, my man.
I don't know, I hear Robinson. I'm like, oh yeah, which one is that? I wasn't alive, much to you guys' dismay. I was not alive when either of them played, I don't think.
Brooks Robinson, another number 5 that is better than Nomar Garciaparra.
How about this? Brett Favre's first career completion was to himself.
That doesn't surprise me with how he ended his career, making every single thing about him. He ended up retiring and unretiring more times than anybody in history. I remember ESPN following around his plane and sending people just to meet him at his truck, him sending dick pics. So with how conceited this guy is, that doesn't shock me at all that in some fateful way, his first pass goes to him.
Now, how about this one? I thought this was crazy, too. Jamie Moyer has pitched to 9% of all the hitters in Major League history.
I mean, he certainly pitched forever. I remember him pitching for the Phillies for a while.
Yeah, 25 years. It was a long career. But it just blew my mind. So 9% of every player who's ever played in the major leagues, he pitched to him.
That's when you think about how many players are in the league and how long the league has been around. I mean, that's America's pastime. That is an insane stat.
How about the actual playing time for a Major League Baseball game is 9 minutes and 55 seconds.
Commercials, baby. Got to make that money.
Commercial, yeah, walking around the batter's box, like I said, knocking dirt out of your cleats, the pitcher, doing the bag thing, and yeah, whatever. It's just, I gotta look at the signs. I always wondered the baseball signs, how difficult they are to figure out when you think about, like, they always the hat and the chin and the things. And I know that there's like an indicator and then there's a sign. So, for example, like if steel is touching your ear, but in order to set up that a sign is coming, you have to touch your nose, right? So if I go like chin, chest, ear, don't steal.
That's like Simon says, yeah.
But nose, chest, now you got to steal because I had the nose first.
Yep.
So when I was in high school, our steal sign was my coach would lean against the dugout and cross his legs and talk to you. So if he had his legs crossed and he said, "Hey, let's go, Wayne, come on, keep your eye on the pitcher," that meant steal because he was talking to you while his legs are crossed.
That's smart.
Yeah. Pretty good. He was actually a really, really, really good baseball player. Let's see what we got here. John F. Kennedy's golf club sold at auction in 1996 to Arnold Schwarzenegger for $772,000. Now, obviously, he married into the family, so I wonder if it was something he was doing just to keep the clubs in the family.
That wouldn't shock me. Arnold's a wonderful movie actor, somebody that we've seen in tons of movies, but also a sports fan and someone who made his claim to fame in bodybuilding. So for him to keep that in the family, a family heirloom of sorts, that's really genuine of him.
What's your favorite Schwarzenegger movie?
It's probably cliche, but I am going to say Terminator.
All right. I think for me it's a toss-up between Twins and
with DeVito, yeah.
Yeah, and Last Action Hero.
I got to say, I haven't seen that one.
Really cool. I actually told my daughter to have a dream about it the other night. She's never seen it either. But basically what it is the premise is...
my daughter to have a dream about it. Is that how dreams work, Wayne?
I'm starting backwards. Yeah, I'm doing a memento here. So I'm starting at the end and then I'm going to zip back to the beginning. So basically, in the movie, this kid has a magic ticket that allows him to go into movies in the theater. And so his favorite actor is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's the Jack Slater. He's going to see Jack Slater 4.
Okay, yep, now I remember it.
Yeah. So anyway,
like a Jack the Ripper or something like that.
Yeah, so like the bad guy has like an axe, and he's got like a weird face, and but the bad guy is played by from Game of Thrones, Tyrion's dad.
Okay, yep. He's also the actor in. If you guys are comedy fans, Your Highness. He is the father of Franco and Danny McBride in that movie. I'm not going to remember the actor's name here, so he'll forgive us when he watches this. But I'll certainly have to rewatch that movie with my daughter because it's one that I remember now that you actually explain it, but not one I remember just off the cuff.
Yeah, I like the comedy stuff he does. It's I like the funniness. So here we go. Let's see. How many cows? I'm going to give you a guess here. This is kind of like a fact or fiction, but I'll give you a guess. How many cows to supply every football for an NFL season?
I'm going to go with 300.
Ooh, 3,000.
Oh, I was close.
Yeah, you're off by 90%. No, I thought it was going to be higher than that. I thought it would be like 10,000, so I was surprised when I saw 3,000.
That's a lot. an off-the-wall trivia question there. How many cows make up a football season?
That's right. How about this one? Michael Phelps has more gold medals than 97 countries have.
I'm going to say fact.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's a weird stat. So he's like, if he were his own country, he would be 35th in gold medals.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's that amazing picture of him where I think he's wearing all of them, displaying all of them, at least all of them that he won in one particular event. So he's a superstar. I know that Sully wanted to see a 30 for 30 on him, and he certainly deserves it.
Did you know that the Chicago Bulls, the year that Michael Jordan averaged 37.1 points per game, his career high, they were under 500 that year?
That doesn't shock me. I mean, what year was that again?
86, 87.
Yeah, so they didn't really have much on the team at that point. I mean, Harper wasn't there, was he? Rodman wasn't there.
No Grant, no Pippen.
Grant, yeah. So B.J. Armstrong, probably not there either. So, yeah, I mean, that team really had nobody, and he had to do everything, wear it all on his shoulders. That's probably why his ankles went.
All right, let's see. 6 of Tim Tebow's 7 wins in 2011 were come from behind wins.
That doesn't shock me. You know, when you got the Lord on your side, you can do anything.
I really am still shocked he didn't get a starting job after Denver. I mean, he won a playoff game. He threw for 330 yards against the number one defense in the NFL. I just don't understand.
That was the Steelers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just beat them in that playoff game. I honestly think he deserved another chance. When you think of some of the guys that we still see in the league, you know, Mike Glennon, Coombs boy, Mitch Trubisky, there are guys that don't belong in the league, and there are guys that certainly deserve more chances. So it sucks when a guy like that who did absolutely nothing to lose his opportunity. It's not like he had off-the-field problems. He had the opposite. I mean, people say he had baggage, but I don't think that's baggage at all. I think the guy was nothing but a winner on the field and in the locker room.
How about from 1970 to 1979, Jack Nicklaus finished in the top 10 in 35 out of 40 majors?
For a second, I thought you said Jack Nicklaus. I thought this was going to be like a front row seat to the Lakers question.
Nicholson.
Yeah, I know. You know, Jack Nicklaus is one of the GOATs. You know, I personally have Tiger Woods as the GOAT of golf, but when you have that type of record, it starts to be hard to question.
Here's the baseball one for you. Again, we'll turn it to a little bit of a trivia here. How many World Series rings does Babe Ruth have?
I'm going to go with 2.
Really? He has 4. But I thought he'd have a lot more. I mean, he's the greatest player of all time. He played in the Murderer's Row. Only 4 World Series rings. Yogi Berra has 13.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I knew that the most ever was going to belong to a Yankee, but I didn't think they started to really kind of hit their stride until just after him. You know, he's super notable from going from the Sox to him and him being the GOAT to some, but I didn't think he had that many rings. I mean, I thought 2 was a decent guess.
Now, shortly after Wilt Chamberlain had his 100-point game, he had a game where he had 25 points, 22 rebounds, 21 assists. To this day, nobody has ever done 20-20-20 besides him.
That doesn't shock me. He is, I think, you know, the best athletic specimen that the NBA has ever seen. I think that, like you and Sully will fight for, I'm not going to be as advantageous on the keyboard on Facebook, but I will say it right here for anybody to listen to live and whenever they want on all the platforms they want. But Wilt Chamberlain is the best athlete the NBA has ever seen. When you consider all the stuff that the athletes of today have, Wilt did not have that, and he could do things that players today can't even dream of.
Yeah, I actually watched this interview, and it was Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, and Ahmad Rashad was interviewing them. And it was great because at one point Ahmad Rashad asked Wilt Chamberlain, he goes, how many points per game would you average in today's NBA? Because this must have been 1995, 97 range, right? He goes, how many points per game would you average in today's NBA? And Wilt Chamberlain goes, you mean now at this age? And they go, no, when you were younger. And Bill Russell goes, I'll tell you what. And Wilt Chamberlain goes, no, I can talk for myself. He goes, listen. He goes, if I played today at 60 years old, I'd average 30. If I played when I was 30, I'd average 60.
That's insane. I mean, today again, he was asked that question before the three-point line had really exploded to what it has become now with Steph Curry and other players. But I don't think it would have mattered. This guy would have played amazing defense, offense. That 20-20-20 game is an impeccable feat.
And the last one I have here for Crazy's made 142 consecutive cuts. That surpassed Jack Nicklaus, who had made 105 consecutive cuts. Third place, 40.
When you consider golf is you have to defeat the field and you have to defeat the course. Golf is one of the toughest sports out there. I see you wearing the Nike right now. When's the last time you found yourself on a golf course, Wayne?
So I was really, really, really into it in my 20s, and I played every single day. And I mean, literally, there was no days off. I played every single day. And I just started playing again 2 years ago, and then last year I played a couple of times and just gave it up.
Gave it up, huh?
It's one of my favorite sports in the world, but if you're not amazing at it, like I was really, really, I wasn't Tony Romo good, but I was really good at it. And to then start over again after like 10 years, and to have to basically start over from scratch, I was like, I can't do this.
It's the mechanics. You have to have the correct mechanics, and your body changes, so you can't have the correct mechanics 10 years later.
Are you saying my body didn't look like this in 2003?
I can agree. I remember you passing me on the basketball court back in the day. When I was a teenager, you were making me look silly. So I hate to give you props, but it is what it is.
Hey, it is, yeah. It is what it is. No, I was wrong. The last one that I had was actually the year that Roger Maris hit 61 home runs. He wasn't intentionally walked once.
I doubt intentional walks were as big of a thing back then as they were when Barry Bonds was doing his thing.
Now, I say in 2004, Barry Bonds was intentionally walked 120 times.
It's insane how many times a team and a pitcher back then was just like, no, not him. Somebody else do it.
I mean, this was the first guy I ever saw intentionally walked with the bases loaded.
I mean, and you had to think he was getting intentionally walked multiple times in a game. So it's just, to be up at the plate and know that a team up there doesn't even want to give you a chance.
I always wonder, if you're hitting behind him, how do you feel? Like, I would rather pitch to that guy.
Hopefully you feel like you're licking your chops and, you've been in batting practice waiting for these opportunities, because it should come to no surprise that you're going to be the one there ready to just clear the plate.
Now, we do come to our last segment, the Infinity Five. Since nobody can hear the music, I'll just put the little screen up quick.
Well, hold on here, Wayne. Are we not going to give ourselves a few minutes to talk about the Hall of Fame or not?
No, because we got like 10 minutes or so I figure I'll just we'll jump into the Infinity. We'll do the Hall of Fame thing with Dan.
All right.
Gives me more time to do research. Like I said, I didn't even have the list in front of me. So.
The thing I did the most research for, you schmuck.
All right, so there's the Infinity 5 logo. You guys have seen it before. Usually we have the, Infinity War music playing, but I don't have it today. So let's just talk Infinity 5. We're talking our top 5 celebrity crushes. Now, I'm assuming you didn't mean of all time. You kind of mean like right now?
To be honest, I went with all time, but I would still, as of today, Wednesday, August 5th, 2020, I would still steal a smooch from all 5 of these ladies I put on my Infinity 5.
Okay, well, because my number 1 of all time, and not so much anymore. Like she's not on the list.
Wayne's number 1 all time is Betty White, isn't it?
Yeah, she was a smoker when she was younger.
Rose from.
I will say that, no, speaking of old-time actresses, I looked up a picture. My sister had texted me and asked me to send her a picture. I don't know why she couldn't look it up herself, of Audrey Hepburn. And she was a smoke show. My God, she was gorgeous.
Oh, absolute smoke. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. So I just did now. So my number 1 all-time is actually Kim Cattrall from the movie Mannequin. Most people know her from Sex and the City. But she was in the movie Mannequin. I had my first ever celebrity crush on her. And to this day, when I watch Mannequin, I'm like, man, I still remember having those feelings. But my top 5 list.
Is that your number 5 or your number 1?
No, they're not on the list. I said that they aren't on because I didn't do all time. Like, she is definitely not modern day on my list. So
okay.
But back then, I was like, yes, I'm all in on Kim Cattrall.
Okay.
So yeah, so let's do it. I guess we do top 5 today. And if you want,
I want you to go first. When you give me the opportunity to go first a lot, and I want you to go first. Give me your number 5. Give the people your number 5.
My number 5 is Jennifer Lopez. She's just a smoke show. She always has
Super
been.
Bowl, baby.
Yeah, she's always been gorgeous. And I'm not a big booty guy, so that's not what appeals to me. Believe it or not, this is going to sound corny and cheesy, but maybe any of our female listeners will go, oh, I love her smile. She has such a beautiful smile. And that's what gets me every time I watch a movie with her in it, is her smile is just incredible.
Oh, man, it's that booty. You could pull up any music video. You could pull up the Super Bowl performance with her and Shakira. That booty. I'm usually a booby over booty guy, But any season is ass-eating season when you're J-Lo. And A-Rod, we brought him up earlier in the episode, and what a lucky guy to be engaged to J-Lo right now. My number 5 is pretty quick.
That just sounds coming.
My number 5 is probably pretty close to the same age, and that's somebody that I fell madly in crush with when I saw her in Tomb Raider, and that was Angelina Jolie. Her performance as Lara Croft, her breasticles inside that shirt, her holding the pistols. She is an absolute smoke show. She's got the most luscious, full lips I've ever seen, and Angelina Jolie is my OG celebrity crush.
Yeah, she's great. Nothing wrong with her. And I think even to this day, I love Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And first of all, it's a fun movie. And I like
Were
Brad
they together
Pitt.
at the time?
That's where they met. He was married to Jennifer Aniston at that time. And allegedly, that's kind of where they hooked up. Yeah. So, which, hey, you see her in that movie, you kind of, all right. And I know a lot of people have a lot of love for Jennifer Aniston. Sorry, she can't hold a candle to Angelina Jolie.
Well, Brad Pitt, that motherfucker. I mean, to be able to dip it in both. I mean, Jennifer Aniston is a smoke in her own right, though. To be her in what was that movie? We're the Millers. Yeah. Her in Horrible Bosses.
My number 4 is going to be Emma Watson, Hermione Granger. Definitely.
Wow, Joe Biden on the podcast, guys.
Nah, because she's like 25 now or something. But anyway, she Beauty and the Beast. If you want to go with a role where she's a little bit older, but
that's
just
nice.
Yeah, just a really pretty face. You know, I know that my old roommate Steve would say, of course she's on my list because she has a flat chest. He said that's kind of my MO. But just again, pretty face, pretty smile. You're gonna find my entire list is like that.
That's very cute and well-rounded of you. I remember Emma Watson from the Harry Potter movies. I mean, the back of my phone case is Harry Potter. I'm obsessed with that whole series. Way too innocent and kind for me, even though she certainly fills out and looks beautiful in Beauty and the Beast. Just way too cutesy for me. My number 4 is a bit older, and I'm staying domestic. You guys remember her from the Fantastic Four that didn't suck, and that is Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba, to me, has that tan skin. She has some very nice curves, and she has just always blown me away. I'll watch a movie just to look at her. I'll watch it on mute.
Yeah, Jessica Alba is fantastic, and she was, in Dark Angel. I think was when I first saw her, and from that point,
Good Luck Chuck with Dane Cook. She's been in a couple movies.
Yeah, and she's aged very well. Not all people do, so she still looks great. I guess let me ask you, going back to Emma Watson for a second. You said you're a big Harry Potter fan. There's part of me, maybe it's just because I'm a pervert, but there's part of me that thinks in the Deathly Hallows Part 2, when her and Harry were out camping in the woods for months at a time, I thought, man, if I was Harry Potter, they got gone. I mean, Ron is suspicious of it, and I know it happened. It had to have happened.
Oh, absolutely. You could tell Ron was pissed. He was very curious. He had it in his mind, so I'm actually shocked that Hermione ended up with Ron over Harry. I know when I started the series, that's not where I saw him going. But he gets the last laugh. He ends up boinking Hermione in the woods and then marrying Ginny.
Yeah, hey, good for him, And
Ginny's not a bad ginger either.
No, I'm not a big ginger guy, but speaking of gingers, LeBron is the best athlete the NBA has ever seen. Wrong. Now, Wilt Chamberlain was way better of an athlete. And don't get me wrong, LeBron's a freak athlete. He is a freak athlete. But Wilt Chamberlain at 7'2" could bench press 500 pounds. He could bench press 400 when he was 50 years old. He ran the 100 meters in 11 seconds.
Bring up his speed, yeah.
He had a 40, I think they said 48 or 47-inch vertical, which even if it's exaggerated, it was like 40. At 7'2", he could hit his elbow on the top of the backboard.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, the host of Triple Shot Sports is Brandon, prisoner of the moment, Coombs.
Wilt couldn't play all 5 positions. Well, I didn't say he's the most skilled player of all time, so what are we talking about here?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Coombs showing you just how he is.
Athletically, he could play all 5 positions, but I'm not saying he was as good a ball handler as Kuzi or something like that. And then, of course, he's given us his top 5. He's got all 5. Okay, he's got all 5, so we'll revisit that when we get to ours.
Yeah.
I'm at number 3, right?
Yep, it's your third.
Okay, Carrie Underwood, to me, is just a smoke show. Carrie Underwood, the first time I saw her on American Idol, and she's got just an incredible voice. She is just amazing, and she's a country singer, which I love because I'm a country fan. But most importantly, Jesse, what does she have that I love?
She has that smile.
Great smile. Such a good smile.
I certainly don't mind Carrie Underwood. I did think for a while if I was going to put a music artist on my list. I ended up not putting any music artists on my list, even though there's plenty that I could have put on there. Honorable mention, and I may get some slack for this, but I love Iggy Azalea. I think she has a smoking hot bod. Same with Cardi B. So those are my two that right now I would not want to listen to them, but I would look at them. I would look at them sweat.
Total opposite. I mean, two busted faces right there. See, I'm going pretty smile. You're going busted face, nice body.
I'm looking for the body here. If I'm crushing on you, it's not on your smile in your eyes. But my number 3, and I know all the guys watching and listening have seen this girl. You've seen her over a hot rod vehicle back in the Transformers movie, and that's Megan Fox. What a foxy lady. This was the peak male crush, I think, for a couple years here. Megan Fox is just smoking hot, just scolding hot.
Megan Fox, like you said, her peak was her first movie because after that it was all done.
You don't need to do any more. She should have jumped into pornos after that.
She couldn't do anything after that. Nothing that I would want to watch. Although I will say that I don't know if you've seen the movie This Is 40, which was kind of like a sequel to Knocked Up.
Yep.
So she works at the shop where they work, and I think it's funny that the scene where Paul Rudd goes in, she's up on the ladder, and he looks up and he says to his wife, like, she's not wearing any underwear, and she goes, yes, she is. I said, no, I walked by and she's not wearing any underwear. And she goes, no, she's totally wearing underwear. He goes, oh, does it look like her vagina? Because Paul Rudd's amazing.
I love Paul Rudd. He's so good.
My number 2 is going to be was my number 1 for a really, really, really long time, and just got bumped out. I'm going to say 5 years ago, maybe, but was number 1 for a long stretch. Ever since I saw in the theater Star Wars Episode 1, Natalie Portman has been my girl. Just beautiful. I mean, Episode 1, Phantom Menace, she was great. She was great in all 3 of those. I mean, the movies weren't great, but she looked great in all 3 of them. V for Vendetta looks fantastic.
I loved her in that.
Yeah. What's the one she did with Ashton Kutcher, Friends with Benefits? Or No Strings Attached? It was one of those two.
Justin Timberlake did the other one.
Yeah. But, I mean, she is just... Black Swan with Mila Kunis. Perfect, right? I mean, the two of them. So, I mean, she's just naturally beautiful, great smile, and again, not a great body. She's kind of a twig figure, but just really pretty.
Yeah, speaking of Mila Kunis, she's not going to make my list, but the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall, you actually see her booblies.
Yep, you do.
Not upset about it.
And not to take away from her in that movie, I thought Jason Segel was hilarious in that movie, and I learned the Dracula musical, and I actually sang it all the time.
Oh, I mean, Jason Segel was hilarious in there. Jonah Hill, Russell Brand. I think that's one of the most underrated comedy movies out there. All right, so for my number 2, and this was my number 2 for a while until I ended up getting a sickness for the thickness. So my number 1 for the longest time, and she's been in a lot of things, but most recently she's been in a couple Marvel movies, and that is Scarlett Johansson. Man, to see Scarlett Johansson in that Black Widow gear, that black leather, it's doing things to me right now. My acorn just wiggled, Wayne. ScarJo with the red hair. Now
wait till I tell you that the outfit, the black leather that she wore was so tight that she couldn't wear underwear in it.
Oh, man, I just made a mess.
So, my number 1, overtaking Natalie Portman, like I said, about 5 years ago, is Miley Cyrus. I'm such a big Miley Cyrus fan. Again, another kind of stick figure kind of person, and beautiful smile. I love her smile. But the thing that I love about her, and this is when I started getting to my whole crazy thing, she's got like the crazy look to her. Like she's a little bit nuts.
You turn on a wrecking ball, Wayne.
There's something so sexy about a crazy woman. Like we talk about Harry Potter. Something about Bellatrix is hot. I don't know what it is. Like she's just crazy, and I love it. And so Miley Cyrus is real life crazy, and she's easy on the eyes.
Yeah, I can't be dishonest with you here, Wayne. There's a couple music videos that I will put on just so I can watch her shake her hips and smile. She does have one of the best smiles that can be seen these days. You don't see it all too often. She was certainly more available on Hannah Montana, which I'm sure your daughter watched. You have 2 real youngins on your list here, Wayne. Watch out. But Miley Cyrus is a bit of a smoke now that she's grown into her form. Hopefully she gets a little less crazy, though. My number one, and again, kind of snuck up. I really didn't know about her until a couple years ago. Maybe not a ton of people will know about her, but she is the first plus-size supermodel that ended up on the cover of Sports Illustrated. That is Ashley Graham. She just recently had a baby, but oh my, if you love a voluptuous, curvy woman, this is it. I mean, if you're ever on Facebook or on the internet and you're scrolling through and you see some voluptuous woman just modeling lingerie, I guarantee 9 times out of 10, it's Ashley Graham. She has every curve that you'd want and then more. I would bathe in her sweat, Wayne. I would.
All right. Well, on that note, let's see what we got for Brandon's list. So Brandon, Megan Fox, number 1. Alyssa Milano, Gwen Stefani, Shakira is a really good pick. Gabrielle Union. So I like Gabrielle Union too, but I don't know if it's since she got with Dwayne Wade, she's kind of fallen off a little bit.
I do agree. Ever since she's started having Dwayne Wade eat her bum, it's not as exciting. But I remember seeing her in the Bad Boys 2 movie, and at that point, she'd have certainly made my top 5.
Yeah, she was great in that. But yeah, so I have no problem. Gabrielle Union. I just like I said, she wouldn't be as high on my list just because I don't know. Something that I did like her at first, and she kind of fell off. That's kind of we've kind of like just giving you guys all the pervertedness we can. I do want to throw one more ad up there for next Monday because it's less than a week away. You can hear Ronnie Fields on a show 7 p.m. He's going to talk about playing with KG, talk about what it's like to be the number 2 high school player in the country. Did he play against Kobe? What is it like going to basically the pros out of high school? Because so he had enrolled at DePaul, but his ACT scores came in too low, so he couldn't play there. And so he went and played in the CBA instead. And I'm curious that transition from being just this dominant high school player to playing against men instead of continuing to play against kids, and what that transition was like. Because KG made the jump the year before, so I wonder if he gave him any pointers or anything like that, or if they're even still in touch. I mean, I don't want to make the whole thing about him and KG, but curious,
Yeah, you have to wonder, what the trajectory for Ronnie would have been if he'd have gone to DePaul and then continued his progression towards the league, because he's certainly one of the most skilled guys that we saw at the high school level. I know that we've talked about how Chicago is an absolute breeding ground. Anthony Davis, KG, Derrick Rose, and many, many more. So this will be an awesome opportunity for us to have our biggest star so far. This guy has such a story to tell, and I hope that all you fans, join in with us in being with Ronnie Fields, just asking him questions and just soaking up the experiences that this guy's had. This is going to be a highlight of Infinity Sports for sure.
And one more time, just kind of check us out, Infinity Sports Podcast on Facebook. That's where you're probably watching this now. Tell your friends to watch it on here. Tell them to watch it in the RTF Sports Network. Infinity Sports Podcast on Instagram. I'm making a lot of connections out there. That's where I met Ronnie. And, obviously we want to follow us on there. We have all kinds of posts on there, way more posts than we have on Facebook. And Sports Infinity 5 on Twitter. I try to get all 3 at the same time, but it doesn't always work out that way. And other than that, I guess if you want to throw it to Kenny, again, I don't know if anybody's going to hear the noise, but I'll still play it anyways.
Absolutely, Kenny. We're talking NBA Hall of Famers next time. You ready?